And we're live.
We are
Welcome
live.
to another episode of Zero to Traction. Although I do have to ask Cameron, is it just me, or are we not sounding nearly as crisp as we
Not
did last week?
not as crisp today. We have a little bit of outside summer vibes going on here. So, but hey, nonetheless, I think you got to see the difference between crisp studio recording to outdoor, indoor conversation recording. So.
Yeah, we went from a beautiful, multi-million-dollar studio to you're in your office and I'm outside at a Starbucks. That's where we're at right now.
Well, it's all an experiment. We're seeing the impact high quality recording has on our listenership.
All right. Well, you guys let us know. Should we go back to the studio next week, or should we keep the summer vibes? You tell us. And with that, we'll get into our episode of Zero to Traction, a podcast about how first-time founders create companies that scale. Regular co-host coming at you. JDM here. Cam, how you doing?
Doing good. Good to be back in the studio, albeit not at the Urban Hive this time.
Yeah. Are you all ready for your trip? You got a big trip coming up.
Am I ready? Not quite. I at least have my visas, so we're good there. I did invest in a new backpack from Nomadic, so I think you would enjoy that
Cool.
because I needed something to carry the camera as well. So I got one that has the camera slots as well as we'll be able to carry the iPad. So.
I do like the nomadic bags. That is absolutely true. I'm curious. So like this episode is dropping on Saturday, right?
Right.
So where are you on? Are you still in the country?
No, I will be likely mid-air on our way to Kigali in Rwanda.
Ah, all right, all right. So Cameron is greeting us from the skies over the Atlantic, while I
Ooh.
am. Well, actually, I might at this time of day, I might be at Starbucks. I don't know. Sometimes I walk with my kid to this very Starbucks in the morning
There
on
you
Saturday
go.
morning. So we'll see where we are there. But that's a subject for another day. Time traveling. JDM and Cameron will have to figure that out. For today, we're gathered together for a little episode that we are calling. It's not a story, it's a strategy. And this is the
Ooh.
idea that the narrative that you tell in your investor pitch is not just this like story that you tell, a story that you weave together, this fanciful yarn straight out of Grimm's fairy tales, Pixar Studios bullshit that gets woven into this awesome stage performance. That it's actually a summary, this recap of everything that's going on with your startup. It's actually a recap of where you are in your current state of progress and where you're going to get to and how the ask of investors are going to help you get there. But it's more than just a recap. It's more than just a recap. It is a roadmap to investor ROI. So we're going to talk about how you can create a compelling investment story and structure, and then we're going to talk about some specific investor stories. Sorry, some we're going to, and then we're going to talk about some founder. No, that's not right. Then we're going to talk about some investment stories, and and then figure out if they are backable or just baffling.
Ooh.
But before there, I obviously need to take a break from talking for a minute. So, Cameron, tee us up here. Like, how do you go from like having a story to actually being investable?
All you need is a pitch deck and some polish. That's all you need.
Like the can of turd polish you have on your desk right now.
Exactly, right there. By
Are you
Acme Startup.
are you are you bringing the turd polish to Africa?
No, I'm limited weight wise, and this is not the weight that I want to bring.
Turd
But
polish
no,
is heavy.
it can be. It's a lot to carry around, especially as a mental load as well. But with that, looking at one of the things as we're developing this compelling investment story and structure, you kind of teed it up at the kickoff, JDM. But was really this is all based in you actually gathering evidence, and what we talk about is actually gathering these different blocks of validation that ultimately go into your overall story, and that if you're truly getting validation from the market and kind of moving through de-risking your startup, you're increasing the odds of actually getting this ROI that you're promising to your investor. And so it's not just this,
Right.
pretty ask of, hey, we're raising X at this particular valuation, but it's actually, we are grounded in solid evidence that proves that we're on the path to hitting that valuation and then continuing this path to further growth. So it's ultimately all tied on us continually gathering that evidence, starting to validate those components of work, and then our story that ultimately that investment story and structure is all that concise way of articulating that blocks of evidence that we've gathered.
Right, right. And there's a lot of different ways that we can think about this. And I know we've talked about it a number of different ways. We can talk about runway as the number of pivots that you have left. We could talk about the bet that investors are placing in your company, and what a payoff of that bet is supposed to be against the risk, and how much evidence do we have. We could do all of that. But I say we dive straight into our game and let it come up as it comes up. What do you think?
Let's do it. Hop on in.
Let's do it. So this is a little game we're calling Backable or Baffling, where we're going to get a little narrative, a little slide narrative from a startup, absent a lot of details. We're going to do this as a hot take, and we're going to react in real time. We're going to talk about, is this a compelling investment story? Is this structure clean? Is it super sketch? What's missing? And then how would we fix it if it needs to be fixed? Or would we fund this, or would we just flee? So fund this, fix this, or flee, I guess, is our game there. But ultimately, we're going to rank it. Is it backable in some sense, or is this just completely baffling? So let's get into our first one. So our first one here is a fundraising slide. It says we're raising $3 million to scale up after our beta. Funds will go to marketing, some dev hires, and runway for 18 months. Cameron, give us your hot take.
The hot take. It's hot. I think the big thing, there's a couple standouts of components that we talk about. One seems like quite a lofty ask, with no real tie to any major milestone that you're going to be achieving. They're really speaking to just the runway that it's going to give them, and not about what progress or validation or inflection point they're going to hit with that capital. Additionally, 3 million after a beta. Not super clear if you even have paying customers in that beta, or what that even looks like. And so seems like a too much of a lofty ask based on the evidence that you're articulating in this particular ask slide. Lastly is, a red flag we often highlight is this, yes, it's great you highlight use of funds, but one, in terms of marketing, you're not really at a stage of where you're just trying to build brand awareness. It'd be more impactful if you're speaking to, this is how we're going to deploy this capital in terms of our go-to-market strategy. And that ultimately then helps us hit this, say, revenue threshold, or this inflection point related to actually penetrating the market. And so I think there's still a lot left to be desired here, in terms of their ask, and no clear milestone that it's even tied to.
Couldn't agree more. The only thing I have to add before we can just kind of move straight into the next one is that when it comes to the ask and use of funds slide, the most common slides I see are two versions, and they're both mistakes. And so one is the all product development one, where we're looking to raise X million dollars in order to do some more product development, in order to add all these features. And then the other one is the flip side of that, where we're going to use the whole thing. We're just going to do growth. And neither of those are specific enough to be meaningful, or are they evidence backed, or are they saying where they're getting us and why we're doing it this way. And so this is obviously committing the second of those things here. But there's vagueness here. Like, we're going to scale up. I don't know what that means. Do we have that repeatable plan, or do we not? Are we hypothesizing around it? I don't know what we're doing in here. And then again, we have the vagueness around, well, it's giving us a runway for 18 months. Like, what are we going to do for that? I don't know. So it's all too vague to be at all meaningful. And I think, to your point, Cameron, 3 million is probably just out of step with their current status.
Yeah, I think as you brought up kind of this scale up in air quotes here, is it seems like they're scaling up the team, but they're not scaling up the team in proportionate to the evidence and traction that they're ultimately tying it to. So there's you're building this basically bloated team without the like equal side of you actually scaling the startup in terms of revenue generation or the outcomes that you're ultimately hoping to achieve with that.
All right. I think that is that. Let's hop into the next one. All right, let's do it.
All right.
All right, so this is for a B2C marketplace for refurbished designer baby clothes built for eco-conscious millennial parents. That was a mouthful. Uh, and you know how I love B2C marketplaces. And for refurbished designer baby clothes, what is a refurbished clothing item? I'm used to refurbish for like electronics.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. All right, but here we are. We're raising 1.5 million to expand our community, grow our Instagram presence, and scale brand awareness. Those are the 3 sins of early stage marketing. All right. Our goal is to build a loyal following and be the go-to destination for sustainable baby fashion. Well, Cameron, you already spoke to this one in your last one. Like, we're just doing brand awareness. Cass apparently was just like, let's triple down.
Just making sure we hit the notes on that one.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I didn't think you expanded enough on that. Let me force you to do so. So first of all, no. No, we're not giving you 1.5 to expand your community. No, we're not giving you 1.5 to grow an Instagram presence. No, we're not giving you 1.5 to scale brand awareness. 3 for 3. You struck out. You're done. Get out. And for those reasons, I'm out. Like, this is bad on so many levels. Because not only is this is maybe more specific in one sense than the last one, but it's also more vague. Like, why are we doing this? Why do we want community? Why do we want Instagram presence? What are we doing with brand awareness? You're mentioning 3 really expensive things that are really vague in terms of how you define success and that don't directly translate to revenue. So, like, this is just all around just terrible, and it's trying to build up this vibesy thing of being a go-to brand for whatever. If the best way to prove that you're a go-to brand for something is when people go to your brand for something. So let's get people actually going to the marketplace, listing and buying clothes, and go from there. Because otherwise, here this is just bullshit wrapped in an Instagram account.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing I would add is it seems like they're trying to still sell the vision with a pretty lofty ask versus it being rooted in evidence and tangible next steps based on what they've proven out thus far and where they see themselves going.
Yeah, so like in order to fix this, we need to know more about it, but it's going to be like, how can you get, like, how many people are on the platform now? How are you getting people on the platform now? Do you have liquidity? What do you need to get liquidity? What is that path look going forward on all of those things? So there's just much more specificity on that. And then again, the same things we said before, get to, what's the clear milestone that we're actually getting to for something like that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do one more, and then we'll do our frivolous thoughts. We'll keep this a short episode today, so lightning round here. So this is an AI-powered insights platform that helps mid-sized enterprises make better strategic decisions by aggregating data across departments and surfacing trends in natural language. Okay, all right, nothing too crazy there. Seen that startup pitched about 300 times. All right, here's their investment story. We're raising $5 million pre-seed, okay, to build out our proprietary AI engine, hire a world-class enterprise sales team, and create a category-defining thought leadership. This is a land grab, and we need to move fast.
Land grab.
That sounds like something the robber says to the bank teller.
Was this 5 million USD or some other?
You can tell by our friendly banter here that we are not on the same page here. So there's a lot going on here, but I'm going to focus in on there's just no strategy here.
Yeah.
Like the idea is that we just need a ton of money to grow fast. We don't know how we're going to do that. We don't know where we're going to get to, and but we know that we have to move fast. And so this is going to be a land grab. But the problem is you don't know how you're going to land, or how you're going to actually grab the land. And
when
so
you haven't grabbed any land thus far.
Right. And so and then when you add on that we need to hire an enterprise sales team, and we need to create category defining thought leadership. I don't even know how those two things connect together. And so why are we doing something that's much more on like an inbound, long tail, maybe SEO driven type of thing here, this thought leadership that we need to get in. Like, if you're already doing this stuff and you don't have that thought leadership established, I don't know why you need to spend $5 million to do it. You're just basically confessing that you lack the credibility to build and sell this product in the first place. So goody for you.
I just have two things. One, I think it demonstrates kind of the way in which maybe this founder is even building the venture. It's like a lot of activity for activity's sake, but not really with an intentionality to gather evidence and prove out the theory of their startup. So it's like, we're going to do all these things, but not actually like get to a certain point of validation that we're looking at. And so from a story, it kind of just reflects the way that they're probably doing a lot of shiny object things, and we just need a lot of capital to grab all of this activity and move it forward. Secondly, if we were to give this founder the benefit of the doubt outside of the ask, was say, hey, you're building, and maybe you do have some traction, we just haven't seen it yet, was you're positioning yourself for a challenge in further fundraising. So if you're raising 5 million at a set valuation, you're going to have a huge tick up in your next in your seed round, and then so on and so on. And so I think just the game that this founder is setting out to play in terms of the overall investment story and like what future investors are looking for, I think they're going to have a lot of questions of, can you actually keep that pace up?
Yeah, and like, it seems to be the strategy is to burn cash, and that does not inspire confidence. So well, that brings us to the end of the time that we have for this week. We're doing a short episode this week because scheduling, but this would not be Zero to Traction if we did not leave you with some frivolous thoughts. So I'll kick us off. I just this week I finished Severance, the Apple TV show. I mentioned it, I think probably a couple months back when my wife and I started watching it. Hey, we have a toddler. It takes us time to get through a show, all right? But it did just finish it. I loved how the second season ended. Really looking forward to what has to be a very different third season. Unfortunately, that's probably a year and a half away, so that very much sucks. But really looking forward to it. My wife was less thrilled with how the season ended. In case you haven't watched it, I'm not going to give any spoilers here. I thought it ended the only way that it could, and she thought that that was unsatisfying. And so neither one of us are necessarily wrong here, but just Apple TV putting on another awesome show. I love Slow Horses that I've talked about on here. I love Shrinking that they've talked about on here, and the Studio, which I don't remember if I've talked about on here as well. But they're just continuing to crush it here. So well done, Apple TV, and give me more Severance.
There we go. Game on. I guess my frivolous thought. I'm gonna keep going with the King saga. So I'm waiting to see the big news. I've been checking daily to see what kind of the big report is, and so there seems to be two major plays that they might make. So one, bringing on Russell Westbrook, which could be a big one, or seeing if maybe the Jonathan Kuminga trade with the Warriors will go through. So who knows? I think there's a big, I guess trade or signing that will take place in the next week would be my guess. So we'll see what actually transpires. But that's kind of been top of my mind and in my news queue.
And the saga continues.
Ooh. Alrighty. Well, thank you everyone for having us in your ear for another week. And JDM, always a good time to be in the studio with you, albeit you at Starbucks.
The studio is very much in air quotes today. Like we were in a fucking studio last week, and this week it's an office and an exterior of a Starbucks. But you know what? We'll fix it in post.
It's just a reminder of where we're at with Zero Attraction.
Whoa, hey, yo.
I'm just messing.
We're gonna
maybe we'll go back to the experiment. It's an experiment, right? So that was the whole reason.
That's right. It's an experiment. And maybe we'll be back in the studio next week. But either way, thanks for having us in your ear. Remember to like and subscribe wherever you like and subscribe. And we'll see you right back here in your feeds next week. Until then, thanks, Cameron. Thanks, everyone.